Hi guys, I'm at the beach enjoying a late afternoon ride, and with my Z10, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to give you some observations after about 550 miles of riding the Z10. And this is probably going to come across as mostly a negative video, but you really just need to understand that I love the Z10. I have 10 quality wheels to pick from any given day, and I find myself gravitating towards picking the Z10 just about every day, unless unless I'm going for like a long distance ride or something unique that only Gotway can do. So I'm just pointing out some issues with the wheel. Every wheel has its problems, and maybe some of these problems I'm going to point out might be able to fix with a later revision or an update to the firmware. We'll see. So let's start. All right, well, let's start with the trolley handle and mud guard. So I originally took mine off, or didn't put it on, because I really like the way the wheel looks. Very cool looking, and I really wish they had come up with a quick disconnect feature to maybe be able to put this on and off real quick. As it is, there are 14 screws that you have to use to take this off or put it back on. So it's not practical to be switching it very often. But in real life, the mud guard is like one of the best mud guards. I mean, you can go through whatever, and it's really well protected. And this trolley handle, it is stiffer than the pre-production one that I had, but it's still not exactly very solid. But it turns out to be very practical, because I do use my wheel periodically to go shopping and go to a store or sandwich, whatever, or even where I'm at right now, I had to trolley it a little bit. And if you turn it around like this and trolley it forward like that, you have really good control compared to running it this way. So in reality, I like it. Your mileage may vary, of course. Okay, the next item to talk about, and this is where I'm going to start going negative, is the power button. I'm not the first to make this observation. The power button is horrible. Just already today, while taping this, moving the wheel around a little bit, I've turned off the wheel twice just by accident. You just have to brush your finger on this power button and it turns off. So when you're grabbing the wheel to particularly trail riding or any conditions where you have to periodically kind of get off the wheel and grab the handle, to move the wheel around a little bit, you're just going to be touching this button, and it really starts aggravating you after a while. Why they didn't do what I think every other wheel manufacturer does, and that is require a long press to turn the wheel on or off. It's a mystery. That's something I gotta imagine they could change with firmware. It's awful. Now, related to that is some of you guys will remember the good old days, not really that long ago, with Kingsong wheels. Every time you turn the wheel on, it would go, "Hello, Kingsong," and you couldn't do anything about it. So if you're in a quiet area or some place that you don't want to draw attention to yourself, you were out of luck. They finally fixed that. Well, Ninebot, it'll beep at you when you turn it on, but if you have your phone paired to the wheel, which you'll want to do if you want to music. I don't think it'll make do this when you just pair it with the app. But certainly if your phone is paired to the Bluetooth speaker, it will. Every time you turn it on, you get to listen to this. If you pick this up.
The Bluetooth is connected successfully.
So hopefully you heard that. The Bluetooth is connected successfully in this obnoxious British accent. You can't do anything about it. There's a volume control on the app for sound, but it doesn't seem to affect that sound. That's more of a nit, but it'd be nice if it didn't do that. The last item, kind of related to the handle area, is the power, the lift button, I guess you'd say. You know, if you want to lift off the wheel to take it upstairs or up over a curb, it's great. I love it. I've been riding it with this wheel with that enabled. I've had 0 issues. I really can't imagine why you'd want to turn it off, except for, I guess, what I'm about to mention is likewise with the power button. When you have to get off the wheel and maneuver it around, it just it's hard to force this to happen, but here I just disabled it. Trust me, when you're moving this wheel around, quite often you can grab it and it'll disengage and the wheel will flop around. Not nearly as annoying as a power button, but it's something to be aware of. It's an annoyance. I'm not sure how they could get away from it, but the feature itself is really great. It's been very reliable. I just squeeze the handle until it double clicks, makes that clicking sound, and I use that quite a bit. At this point, I hope all future wheels have some capability like that. Next issue I have are the lights, the main lights. The ring lights are great. Love them. They're really fun. You can turn them totally off or cycle through the variations, and of course you can pick the colors. Ring light, I love the ring lights. The back brake light here works great. I usually leave it on, but you can turn it off. You can turn all the lights totally off, so at night if you really want to run silent, you know, you're going to rob a bank or something, you can turn everything off. But again, I usually ride with the rear light off. But here's the daylight running light, which you can see is on right now. But okay, so and you can turn that on and off via the app. So again, I leave it on usually. And if you do press and hold the power button, sometimes, like right now, it's not working. There, now it works. I have a feeling when I held that power button on and nothing happened, I have a feeling it was doing something in firmware to affect the lights. But I haven't figured it out yet. But I did it again, and you can see these turned on. And it's the main lights. And again, you can enable, disable that through the app. So I'm going to turn it off now. So that works pretty good. But the daylight running light can be in a mode where it flashes. It's a total mystery how that happens. There's no mode, unless it has to do something with how many times you press the power button. I don't know. I've asked around. No one seems to have an answer. I asked Jason at eWheels if he could ask Ninebot. We'll see if he gets an answer. But it would be nice to know how you can enable the flashing of this light. You'll see some of my videos, it's on steady, and other videos it's flashing. It'd be nice to control that. Now, with the main lights, these flash too. I've actually seen my lights flash, and that's something I would like during the day, like this when I ride. I'd like to actually have that on, because then oncoming bicyclists can you know, see you. At night you don't want them flashing, but during the day have them flashing. For the life of me I can't control it, but yet I've seen it. So some way there's a mode to turn these on. Now there's also a sensor, a light sensor, and I won't be able to find it now. I don't know where the light sensor is, but I've definitely seen it where I've gone into a dark room and the lights will turn on. The main lights will turn on. So again, exactly, you know, is that light sensor enabled light, is that on all the time, or do you have to use a combination of the app and the power button to get that active? I don't know. It's kind of a nit, but it sure would be nice, you know, if this were explained. There's nothing in the manual, nothing in the software that says anything about it. So that's what I have to say about lights. Okay, so I talked about in some of my other videos the low torque, the low power / torque that this wheel has going down hills. I'm talking about going down really steep hills, and just kind of in general when it comes to braking, though it's not an issue unless you're really going down steep hills, but you can definitely feel it. I think all the time is it just doesn't have really aggressive, solid feeling braking that you do in every other wheel I've ridden. You know, the King Songs, the Gotway wheels, they just have really solid braking, and that's lacking. And I have a comment out to the president of Ninebot Segway. He's acknowledged my comment, but you know, we'll see if maybe Ninebot responds someday with a firmware. They're definitely pushing out firmware updates for this wheel. I've gotten 2 so far. So that doesn't keep me from enjoying this wheel. I love this wheel. It just keeps me from wanting to take it into some mountainous areas that have some steep declines that I'd rather avoid riding it if I can with this wheel. But that's like that's like less than 5% of my riding. The vast majority of my riding, it's not an issue, and you know, it's got plenty of power. I do want to say I have a video I haven't pushed out yet, but I took this wheel up Mount Wilson, 4,600 foot climb, and it worked like a champ. I taken other Gotway wheels up Tesla, ACM, MSuper V3, and this wheel performed just as well with those wheels. Actually performed better coming down in terms of the thick wheel, but it's got plenty of power. It was going to overheat once. It got up to 79 degrees, monitoring the temperature on my pebble, so I stopped because it overheats at 80 degrees. A couple of my Gotway wheels on earlier rides, I had the same thing, though I saw the temperature was over 75 degrees, so I just pulled over and stopped and rested for about 5-10 minutes, let the wheels cool down. So this is very comparable to the Gotway wheels in terms of climbing, overheating, and so forth. Really, really solid. But now, relating to that climb I did, I noticed that when part of that test was when I came down the 4,600 feet, I wanted to see how this recharged the batteries compared to the Gotway wheels and in motion other wheels. And by the way, this consumed energy at about the same rate as the Tesla or the InMotion V3. You know, all the 1,000 watt-hour wheels. So I had about 30% battery when I got up to the top. But when I started riding down, I was seeing 0 recharge. My battery near the top was about 25%, and when I got down to the bottom, it was at 25%. And it was a real mystery I thought, I can't believe this wheel's not recharging at all. Then there was a post, and I can't remember who mentioned it, but someone commented that someone in China had observed this behavior too. Well, it turns out that when the wheel is recharging by regenerative energy, braking, it's recharging only one of the batteries. So one battery had 25%, another battery had like something like about 48%. And that now meshes with what I observed a lot in the pre-production model, and I think I've been observing a little bit here too. When you're just riding around, unless you live in Florida where there's 0 hills, you're going to be going downhill periodically, and you're going to be getting some recharging. And you guys, if you look in your Ninebot app, you've got the battery levels for battery 1 and 2, and you're going to see that as the battery gets close to empty, because you've been using a lot, the batteries are not going to be the same. You're going to see there could be 5% difference between the two batteries in just typical riding around, and that's what's happening. Only one of the batteries is being recharged. Now I don't know if this is an issue. Typically, if I do a lot of mountain riding, I can get 1/3 more range because of all that recharging. I'm going to assume that just because only one battery is getting recharged, I ultimately would get that energy back when if I need it, hopefully. So that's something. It's definitely odd behavior why they did it that way. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about, and it's the biggest real problem with this wheel, and again I've seen other people have questions about it, is the pedal calibration. It's really bad. When you calibrate the wheel, first of all, through the app it's very easy to calibrate the wheel, very fast, but it does not allow you to set all it allows you to do is it auto calibrates when you go through the routine. It will determine what it thinks is level. You can't preset a level, as far as I know. But when you're riding this wheel, and I've noticed it particularly if you're riding it in rough conditions where this wheel is meant for riding rough guys. It will lose its calibration. You can be riding in rough conditions, and all of a sudden you'll find the pedals are tilting up on you. I haven't noticed yet where they start tilting down, but for me it typically ends up they start tilting higher and higher. And no rhyme and reason to it. I've also noticed sometimes when I've had it resting again, when it's been off and it's resting against a post, something like that, usually when you turn it on, it'll bring itself level like it just did, even if it's resting against something. But I've had it actually stay calibrated at that decline, and I had to manually calibrate it again. So that is a major problem that they need to work on, hopefully. And I don't know if it's something they can do in firmware, or it's an issue with the sensors that they've used in the wheel, that they're just maybe poor quality and they lose the calibration. I don't know, but if you're just riding flatland riding, I don't know if I've seen this problem, but I've definitely seen it a lot with any kind of trail riding. It starts losing its calibration, and again, like I say, it's lost its calibration just sitting against a post like that. So again, I've eWheels knows about this, Jason, and he's got something out to Ninebot to see if we can get a response to it.
The Bluetooth
Well, that's it, guys. Sorry to be such a negative video on the Z10. Again, I love the Z10. I'm out riding it now. I'll continue to be riding it. It's definitely one of my favorite wheels. You know, but all wheels have problems, and I just wanted to kind of give a summary of what I've seen after about 500 miles, thereabouts. And maybe we'll see some improvements with over time, or the Z10 version 2, which will come out sometime next year, maybe. I'm guessing. Who knows? All right, guys. Let me go for some more riding. See you later.